So we're still on page 53 in section 6.4, and we're looking at problem number 6, just kind of working some more exercises. So we want to find g composed f of negative 2. So this time my g is the outside function, my f's my inside function. We're doing composition. So I can go to my scratch paper, and I want to find f of negative 2. So we're just going to plug in negative 2 in for x. So let's see, this would be 4. That's going to be a negative 8. So that's going to give us a negative 4. And so now we're looking for g of negative 4. So I'm going to plug that in for x and the 2x plus 3. So that's going to give us a negative 8 plus 3 is negative 5. So here's another example of composition. F is my inside function, so I'm going to find f of negative 3 first. And here we're placing, almost the same thing, right? Except we have a minus here as we had number 6. That's okay, we'll go ahead and do it. So this would be 9 plus 12. And keep in mind, you can do this on your calculator real quick too. If you'd rather do it on your calculator. Not a bad idea, just make sure you get the correct answers. And then we want to find g of 21. So we're going to be taking 4 times that 21 and adding 3. That's going to be 84 plus 3 is 87. And let's take a look at number 8. So again, doing composition. There's a typo here. Tell you what, let's go ahead and let's correct this. This should be G, and that should be H. Let's get them in alphabetical order. All right, so we're trying to find G of, my bad. Getting my letters all mixed up. Doing H first, so I'll put that in purple. It's H of, and let's put G in green. G of negative 2. So first I need to evaluate G of negative 2. So I go to my scratch paper. So that's negative 4 minus 6. That's going to give us a negative 10. And now we're going to plug in H of negative 10. So that would be 2 times the square root of negative 10 minus 5. That gives us 2 square root of negative 15. And that is undefined. Let's go ahead and turn the page. And we got some more graphs. So this time my F graph is the dashed line, the G graph is the solid line. So let's go ahead and work this out. So I'm looking at f of negative 2. And again, let's just think about what this means. I'm looking at my f function, and I'm looking at this point here. And since negative 2 comma 4 is on f, then f of negative 2 has to be equal to 4. Likewise, looking at g of negative 2, and that's going to be down here at negative 5. So again, when I'm thinking of it, since negative 2 comma negative 5 is on g, then f of negative 2 has to be equal to negative 5. It's like I'm given the x value, trying to find the y value. So let's look at f of 0. Well, that's going to be 3. G of 5 is negative 4. Now let's do some compositions, or some algebra functions. So this is f of 3 minus g of 3. Well, we already found f of 3 up here. My bad. I don't know what I'm thinking about. Never mind. Never mind. Having a brain malfunction there. So let's for f of 3. I think I was thinking about a previous example. So we're looking at x equals 3. My f value here is 2. So this is going to be equal to 2. And then we have this subtraction. And now I'm looking at g of 3. So I'm going to go over here at 3, look at my g value, that's negative 2. Well, subtracting a negative becomes positive. So negative 2 plus 2, that's going to give me a 4. All right, let's look at f. So this is going to be equal to g of negative 3 divided by f of negative 3. Now let's look at g of negative 3. That's a negative 4. Let's look at f of negative 3. And that's way up here. The y value is positive 6. And if we simplify that, that will simplify to a negative 2/3. Looking at part G, that's going to be multiplication. So it's f of negative 5 times g of negative 5. So I'm looking at f of negative 5. That's going to be 4. G of negative 5 is negative 2. So this would be 4 times the negative 2, which will give us a negative 8. For h, we have f of 0 plus g of 0. F of 0 looks like it's going to be 3. We actually did that earlier. G of 0 is negative 3. And if I take 3 plus a negative 3, that's going to give me 0. So that takes care of the algebra. now a function. So now we're going to do composition. So here, f is my outside function, g is my inside function. So if I do g of -4, go back here to my graph, the y value is -3. Then I'm going to look for f of -3, which I think we found earlier, but let's just check it. That's going to be 6. So my answer will be 6. So we'll write down 6. Here we're going to do g, that's on the outside, f of 3. So I'm going to first do f of 3. So go back to my graph. F of 3 here is 2. And now I'm going to be doing g of 2. And looking at g of 2, that's a -5. So we get -5 as an answer. For k, this one's a little bit weird. It's kind of weird we're doing a function twice. So let's first look at this f of -5. We want to just figure out what that is. Don't worry about the second f on the outside for a moment. So I'm going to -5. My y value here is 4. So what I have circled in purple becomes 4. And now I want to look at f of 4. So when x equals 4, my y value is 3. So this thing will be equal to 3. And then for I, we're going to be doing g of 2. So I'm looking at this g of 2. Again, let's just figure out what that part is. So looking at g of 2, that's -5. And now I want to find g of -5. Looking over here, that's going to be a -2.